So the discourse around the new Fable game is actually kind of frustrating to me. I made a post on Twitter about this the other day. The anti-woke and the woke in regards to video games in particular, but movies, music, all kinds of things, it kind of applies in general. But in this specific case, with Fable, they are both just as frustrating as the other. First, we get the game introduced to us, I believe 2 years ago at this point. We knew it was coming. I remember when they first announced that Playground Games was going to be responsible for the new Fable, I was quite excited. Playground Games has been making Forza Horizon. That's exclusively what they've made for many years now. They're going on to their 6th version of the game. One of the best games I've ever played, not just as somebody who enjoys driving and racing games, but they're very well crafted, open world, almost adventure titles with cars. And so taking that pedigree and saying we're going to have them make a Fable game, I thought was a fantastic idea. Sometimes you take a studio who doesn't normally operate in a certain genre, but they make really good stuff. And you give them an opportunity to work with a franchise, and they will do a really good job. Everything I've seen from this new Halo in the Xbox Developer Direct we got earlier this week looks incredible. Not just graphically, visually, you know, the aesthetic themes, but gameplay-wise, the game looks like classic Fable. It plays like classic Fable. The combat system, the magic system, how you explore the world. I'm sure the puzzle solving and all that's going to be right there as well. And how you interact with the other characters in the world, the NPCs. First of all, they're telling us there's over 1,000 NPCs. They're all unique individuals that will operate, you know, separate of each other. They're not just going to be pre-programmed copy-paste NPCs. But the moral ambiguity part is actually a really cool feature of this new Fable. Fable has always had this moral play, good and evil, and in previous versions of the game, your character would in fact change appearance based on the path they were taking, and other characters in the game reacted to you differently. What they're doing different with this is there's more variables. They're going to allow you more choice. You're not going to have the physical or visual change to your character. I'll explain why I actually think that's kind of a good thing. And then the NPCs, they all basically will react differently to you. There's not going to be a canned reaction, good or bad. There's going to be variance. I actually think this is an incredibly awesome way to do this, because if you like the idea of how you're treated, how you interact, and how the game world flows based on your decisions, instead of just giving oh look, you're doing good thing, therefore you look this way, oh you're doing bad thing, therefore you're ugly, or whatever, you look this way, or people treat you badly, people treat you well, etc. It's going to vary, and you'll have to learn to deal with how the world reacts to you. The visual part, I don't know, that's kind of nice. I can play my character however I play my character and still maintain my aesthetic or character design, or however I dress them, whatever. I actually think that's really good. Again, it's less about influencing you down a certain path and allowing you to just take that path and see how it plays out in the world. Allowing the NPCs, their reactions to you, to possibly influence you. The story and game world to influence you. I think that's great. And so I'm not sure what the big issue with that is. It's allowing more freedom of choice and more potential reaction. It's like they said, the game will not judge you for your choices. That's where you take away the aesthetic part, for instance. But that does not mean the inhabitants of the game not judge you. The people of Albion will still judge you and treat you different ways. So I'm not sure what we're complaining about there. The big hoopla about this game when they first announced it a couple years ago was when they showed the female lead character, the protagonist. And I understand that she was kind of goofy looking, she was kind of ugly, but she definitely still looked like a female character. She still looked like a girl. The fact that they came back and made her, that specific character does in fact appear in the trailer, in the gameplay, and in the character creator, her face is there. And she looks much improved. Looks like it's the same base character. They just made her more refined and less goofy, ugly looking. They listen to feedback. And there's a character creator or designer or whatever. So, customizer, I guess. So that's good. And then there's some nitpicks about some other things in the game. They were showing like a male character and the way he walked and his gait, you know, the way it swayed or something like that. And I'm like, you know, these games have had incredible variance in how like we just discussed, how you play them, how the world reacts, and how your character reacts. If you have an issue, which is fine if you do, I don't care. But if you have an issue with LGBT stuff, if you have an issue with gay marriage, with, you know, polyamory, polygamy, all these kinds of things, I'm saying a whole bunch of the buzzwords. Those things have been in these games already forever. Like there was, you could marry multiple characters. You could have essentially like threesomes and stuff, if I remember right. But like you could marry multiple characters. You could divorce multiple characters. You could, there was gay marriage. There was all of it. Like there was all of it. That stuff has always been there. And what is likely happening with the character in the game is that based on who's playing it, how they're playing that character, maybe that's just how they physically respond or customize the character to walk. We haven't seen every detail of this game yet. So, and when you watch the rest of it, it looks like just totally normal stuff. You know, there's combat, whatever. The assumption based on like a 5-second clip of this character walking that they woked out and made all the dudes feminine or whatever is actually kind of ridiculous. Why I can't stand the anti-woke side of critics as much as the woke side of them. I want my characters, in particular when I'm playing a game that has the option to play a female character, to be hot, to have all kinds of customization and apparel or lack of or whatever. That's all great. I don't care what anybody else wants in the game. They're offering those options for people. I don't care. Why don't we get a little more gameplay? And it's getting really annoying, like, oh, nothing about this game looks like Fable, or, you know, blah, blah. This game looks as more Fable than Fable 3, for instance. You know, it's right there with Fable 2 and 1, in my opinion, when it comes to the way the gameplay mechanics work and look, combat, and looks like there's a pretty extensive system for character design. And then the world, being able to buy homes, almost entire villages, buy businesses, buy up all of Albion, and be, you know, basically rule everything economically. Like that stuff is still all there. Like, and there's more detail to that as well. I just don't see the criticism, and I can't buy into it. Everything we're seeing from this Fable, if you've actually played Fable, not just were around when it was around, and if you're an actual gamer who is invested in these things, not just somebody who wants to have something to say as a social commentator, this game looks like it's going to be as true to Fable as you're going to get, and it just expanded features, gameplay, and graphically it looks absolutely gorgeous. Like a completely open world Albion is going to be so much fun to play. So I do not expect the game to be perfect. I don't expect any game to be perfect. My favorite games are not perfect. I play the first Descendant and I love that game. It is far from perfect. Every single time I play it, I get pissed off at the game, actually, in many ways. No game is ever going to be perfect. Fable's not going to be perfect. But it looks awesome. And any of the critiques, I don't know, that have more than 80 IQ behind them, that's fine. But the problem with the internet, the problem with social media, Twitter, etc., is you have many people who are engagement driving. Many of these people essentially pose as members of a community on every side. Just like when you have all the woke and stuff, people that have influenced these games that have failed, that do nothing financially, that nobody buys, you know, and they uglify or they base them around stupid agendas, whatever it is. It's the same exact thing. And you're going to come to this game, which has made an effort to listen to the critiques and the criticisms and alter it work for us. And then you watch that gameplay trailer, you watch that developer direct and listen to what they say about it, and I'm like, this seems great. So I do not exist in this realm of gaming and gaming commentary and stuff to dislike things. I want to enjoy things. So until there's a glaring thing that actually makes it so I cannot enjoy something, my standard setting is going in with the expectation to enjoy. So when I watch trailers, when I watch gameplay, when I watch developer directs, or when I sit down to play a game, it's not like, all right, how can I complain about this game today? No, that's just not how I'm going to do it.